So I have a little quiz. Well, no, it's not a quiz. It's a demonstration, guys, because ultimately what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you different carbohydrate sources. And then what we're going to do is a comparison, see the different calorie intake volume. And then we're going to go over how each one of the carbohydrates will make you feel when you consume them. Because by now you should know and understand that your energy needs are by far the most important thing to you. Because once you understand what you need as far as your energy is concerned, you are literally just manipulating a metric. It becomes fun to make progress. Because if you decide, or you work out, that your 2,000 calories a day is what holds your weight currently where you're at right now, simply going into a 100 calorie deficit, which to give you an idea of is 1 tablespoon of, well, it's just over a tablespoon of olive oil. It's 82 calories per tablespoon of olive oil. You will lose between 1 and 2 pounds a week, depending on your metabolic rate and things like that vary. But on average, 1 to 2 pounds a week for a 100 calorie deficit. You won't even notice a 100 calorie deficit. So that's why I'm talking about that, is because knowing and understanding your energy needs is incredibly important. And by now, guys, you should have grasped hold of that concept. Now, what you fill your calories with is entirely your choice. We give you the ultimate foods list, which is a list of foods that says, yes, no, you probably shouldn't, and helps you to understand the consequences of the choices that you make. Because what we want is level stable energy, level hormone optimization, and we don't want to be emotionally triggered. I'm going to start to dive into that as I show you these things. So the first thing, guys, chocolate. So, who's excited? We have some chocolate right now. The dogs have just started running in. We have 6 squares of Milka Almond Krispy Kreme. Wow, 6 squares. Just 6 squares. Now, to give you an idea, there is 6, 12, 15 squares in a bar. 6 squares. This tiny little thing, which I can hold between my fingers here, okay, is 170 calories. Well, doesn't seem too bad, right? I mean, you know, if you've got 2,000 in a day, you times that by the rest of it, you're only having what, 340, maybe what, 420, 425, 430 calories, something like that. Win! Easy, right? So there's 170 calories. Now, on the other side of the coin, I wanted to get, so that's sweet, that's sugary carbohydrates, okay? Then I wanted to get you something savory based. So this is a brioche bun, okay? A brioche burger bun. Nothing else on it. It's still like sealed and then we can just about prise it open. So it's just a brioche bun, a brioche burger bun. That is 170 calories. You're going to see a bit of a theme coming on here, okay? So, as a relative comparable, a burger bun, nothing inside the burger. No burger, no bacon, no sausage, just the bun. Okay, that does include the top and the bottom, by the way, just to reiterate. So you've got a savory carbohydrate, you've got a sweet carbohydrate. Okay, there are big differences. We're going to go into the science behind the differences when I show you this as a comparable. Okay, so both 170 calories. Okay, 6 squares of chocolate, a brioche burger bun, slightly bigger though, maybe slightly more satisfying. Then we go inside of the ultimate food choices, guys, and this is 170 calories of roasted veg. I can't even tip it forwards, guys. Can you see that? So, guys, there is, I think, 150 grams of broccoli. There's 200 grams of mushrooms and 200 grams of squash in there. So there's like 450 grams? I weighed it all out earlier before I roasted it, guys. And also, you'll notice there's a slight tinge in color on there, which is because we can add turmeric, spices, there's some smoked paprika on there for no extra calories. That is 170 calories of vegetables. That is 170 calories of chocolate. Now, why am I showing you this? Guys, in fact, no, that's not even a great comparison. Check this out. I took some photos of this before, my artistic talent and skills. You check this out, guys. Here we go. So, here is a direct comparison. This is it uncooked right there, guys. 170 calories for a bun. 170 calories. That tiny thing down there is 170 calories of carbohydrates. That is 170 calories of carbohydrates. The whole thing right there, all that veg, 170 calories. Now, to give you a comparison, an even better comparison, here is a full width oven tray, which all of that veg just about piled up there fits on. And there is the chocolate. Now, why am I showing you this, guys? Because as I've already said before, you can fill your calories however you want. Now, here is where the perspective lens of us being coaches comes in. Because first of all, let's go through the sugar. Because this is the one that gets everybody, because everybody craves sugar, right? Now, the first thing is you're going to crave sugar for two reasons. First, a nutrient deficiency. Second, a calorie deficit. A nutrient deficiency, i.e. vitamins and minerals. You will crave this stuff for. Now, what happens when you consume sugar, guys? This is really, really important to take note of right now. So when you consume sugar, what happens is you get a dopamine response, not an energy response. You don't eat sugar for energy. You eat sugar for dopamine, which is a feel-good hormone. So when you eat it, you're like, oh, God, this is so indulgent. This is great. And what happens is your mood, not your energy, your mood does this. Oh, feel great, because dopamine comes in. And then you spike your insulin. Okay, so if any of you are diabetic, you'll know about this already. But if you're not, basically what happens is the pancreas secretes insulin because it's been triggered by sugar, because you don't want your sugar levels to get too high inside your body because you've been comatose. Okay, it's bad for you. So what happens is your pancreas goes, I'll help you out, buddy. I'll get rid of some of that sugar for you. So it spikes. And then what happens is your blood glucose, the sugar inside of your bloodstream, your immediate energy is taken out of the bloodstream by insulin. And it goes to one or two places. Now, if you are after a really heavy workout, you've pushed hard in the gym or on our bodyweight workouts inside the live training, and then it's going to go to your muscle groups. That blood glucose is, so it helps to repair you. But most people don't consume sugar just post-workout, do they? So if it doesn't, it's going to either your liver or your fat stores. Now, more often than not, the liver is already full with fat, so it goes directly to abdomen, and midriff area is the most common. But essentially, your blood glucose from that chocolate, from eating these voluptuous 6 squares, has been spiked, your insulin's gone, blood glucose drives out, and then you are left with body fat. Not cool. And now, here comes the real kicker though, guys. After you eat that, this monumental sized thing, okay, how satisfied do you think you're going to be with just 6 squares? You're not. Sugar is very, very addictive. And do you know what happens after you get your insulin spike? So you've got your dopamine spike, you've just eaten it, you're like, oh God, this is great. And then you get your dopamine, you're like, oh, this is brilliant, I feel really good, I feel energized. And then your immediate blood glucose drops because of the insulin, so your energy goes. So guess what you need to pick you up? You got to get you a few more squares. So you eat a couple more squares, and then you feel great because you've hit that dopamine again. You're like, woo, I'm on fire, I feel great, I've got energy again. Then back down the other side because of the insulin. And can you see how it becomes a vicious cycle? Up with the dopamine, down with the insulin. Up with the dopamine, down with the insulin. So that leads me nicely on to the next carbohydrate, the brioche bun. That's not sugar, so it can't possibly do the same thing, right? Wrong. It does exactly the same thing, guys. Okay? What happens with starchy carbohydrates is they break down very, very quickly and they mimic the response of sugar. Now, what will happen is that sometimes it's a little bit slower, sometimes it's a little bit less effective, but again, it depends what you eat it with. I don't want to dive too much into the science of that, but essentially, this is going to respond almost like sugar inside of your system. A little bit slower, but that insulin spike is happening. It might not happen immediately, but go back to when you've had a massive roast dinner at your nan's or your parents or something like that, guys. You have roast potatoes, all of that bread sauce and Yorkshire puddings and all of that stuff, really high carbohydrate stuff. You eat it and afterwards you're like, oh, I'm so full, I got the carbs, please. I just want to sleep all afternoon. Welcome to the starchy carbohydrates, not the sugary one. Exactly the same principle. So you might be thinking then, well, so do I have to just eat veg all the time? Well, guys, because as you can imagine, bread, I mean, it's cooked in a high temperature to start with, so a lot of the nutrients are burned off. Any micronutrients that it does have are gone, so I can't leave that on the floor because dogs leave. So they are of no use. So what's so special about this? First of all, it's actually appetizing because we season it for taste and flavor, okay? We don't get that massive dopamine hit from this, although if you present this perfectly, you will get a nice small amount of dopamine from it because you'll be like, oh, I made my meal look pretty because we eat with our eyes. What happens, the difference between these, coming back to the insulin thing, is the other two forms of carbohydrates, the sugar and the bread, okay, are what we call high glycemic index and high glycemic load. The important thing is the index, okay? It means it affects your insulin fast, okay? Vegetables do not. Most vegetables don't. Starchy carbohydrates, so potatoes, do affect your insulin quite quickly, okay? But the difference is you will only eat a small amount of potato for the same calorie intake as that you can do a whole board like this of 170 calories of vegetables. So the important thing to note is same calorie intake, massive micronutrient intake, vitamins, minerals. It curbs deficiencies and cravings so that you're not thinking, oh, I've got to want more of this. The satisfaction because of the volume of food. And again, let's just put it next to the brioche bun. Okay, guys, in comparison, not even close to the volume. So again, let's reinforce this, okay? Sugar, addictive, up and down with your energy, means you're gonna want more of it, and are you gonna really be satisfied or something that big? No, this is just veg. You imagine trying to fit your daily calorie intake in veg. How full will you be? How satisfied? The micronutrient intake will ensure that you don't have cravings. The vegetables are really low glycemic index, so they don't affect your insulin, if at all. Obviously, that depends what you mix them with. So if you mix those with these, you have a vegetable sandwich, you're gonna affect your insulin, okay? And this is what we base the Ultimate Foods list on, guys. It's very low glycemic index to regulate our energy levels, to make sure our micronutrient intake, vitamins and minerals is super high so we don't get these cravings. And it just means that we're so much more satisfied with our food because, let's face it, again, comparable, right? I can stick that chocolate on the corner of the board, the rest of the veg fills it. Think satisfaction, guys. Now, I know you're probably thinking like, oh shit, I'm going to eat veg for the rest of my life. No, because what we do is 95% of the time we are looking to eat really well. Then we plan when we're going to eat this. We plan it. Now, we've touched on this in the past, but I want to touch on it now. And the reason we plan this, and the reason it's so important to do it and not do it reactively, is what do you commonly associate with the feeling of just grabbing at something like some sugar? Oh, I need some sugar to pick me up. Guilt. Especially if you're inside of this program, guys, because it's not planned. It's not a part of our regime until that one time a week. You'll feel guilty about it. And then that's a negative emotion that you plant that seed of emotion in the back of your side. So you feel guilty for eating like stuff that you enjoyed, the indulgent things, and you shouldn't. And the reason you won't feel guilty is if you say Friday night, for me personally right now, Friday night after the live workouts, that's my cheat meal. And I enjoy it. Gram by gram, calorie by calorie, I have no guilt associated with what I eat. Okay? Because I know my energy intake. And I know I've been really, really good. This is the majority of my intake throughout the week. I'm not just saying roasted veg, okay? I'm talking the Ultimate Foods list and the low glycemic index veg to keep my energy nice and high, to keep bouncing like you see me all the time. And then on the Friday night, I don't care about the insulin spike. I don't care about the sugar or if I want a brioche bun or whatever it is, because it's planned. And I don't just go, oh, should I have a brioche bun with some chocolate inside of it or something? I say on Friday night, I'm going to have this. And then what happens is you delay gratification on what you're eating. And then how much sweeter does it taste instead of just grabbing it all the time? You'd eat it all the time. It's everywhere. All of this. Sugar is in every single corner of every single street more often than not. People's cupboards are laden with it. And if you eat it all the time, is there really any gratuity surrounding that? Or is it just because you're doing it, you become like a conveyor belt for dopamine? And then people get stuck in this rut and they wonder why they can't pick their energy up, they can't motivate themselves. It's like because you are on a constant bounce with your energy all the time as a result of the nutrients, the carbs that you're intaking. So we level it. We regulate it through low glycemic index carbohydrates and high fats, because high fats are great for the body. We won't go into that during this workshop because it's a carbohydrate one, but essentially that's why we use low glycemic index carbs. But beware, okay? Because if you cut this out, look, how easy is it to eat one bun? There's nothing even on that. It's just a bun. It's easy to eat it with a burger in or a sausage in, isn't it? How easy is it to eat this much veg? So you feel full, but what will actually happen, guys, you need to be careful on this as well, is that your calories will be under massively. And this is why you need to be very aware, and you need to introduce the essential fats that we encourage inside of the Ultimate Foods list as well. Because if you don't have enough fats alongside these carbs, you're not going to be enthused to eat 4 or 5 times as much of this veg each and every single day. So you need to encourage healthy fats in there for hair, skin, nails, brain function, etc., too. We'll touch on that in a different workshop. But for now, the carbohydrates thing. High glycemic index carbohydrates, coined sugars or starchy carbohydrates, will spike your insulin, which means you will get a dopamine response and feel great, but then your blood glucose, your immediate energy, drives down because your blood glucose has to get out of the system because you've just increased it with the sugar. Okay, then you feel low and you need a pick-me-up, and then you feel low and you need a pick-me-up. Bags of crisps, chocolate bars, sandwiches, things like this are going to do this all the time. Okay, so that's where the veg comes in, guys. I'm not saying eat veg all the time. There are thousands of variations of things that you can do with veg: soups, hot pots, stir-fried veg, boiled, broiled, baked, oven fried, and etc. Be creative. Don't be boring inside of what you do. A salad is as colorful and as creative as you make it. The leaves are there for micronutrients as far as I'm concerned inside of that.